Okay. So, from the beginning? Okay. Near Kenton, Oklahoma, is this dinosaur trackway, and if I can get out of the shadow, they're exposed in the bottom of the draw, and I think there's 12 or 13 that are exposed. Now the
And these are these?
Yes, yes, and it was really neat. I got to help the man make the mother mold of this, so it was really a privilege to do that. Now what I want to point out to you is this toe print is straight up. Maybe I ought to get this so you can see better. This one is straight up right there. The left one.
And these are dinosaur prints?
Yes, probably of some kind of a hadrosaur, which would be plant eating.
Since we just got interrupted with part 1, really quick, part 2 for those watching on YouTube, this is Stan Bryant with the Natural Creation Museum in Roselle, Kansas. And part 1, we will of course label. Part 2, we have just come into the dinosaur room of the Creation Museum.
Okay, now the bottom print was straight up, but this one you can see is cocked off to the right. So, just like some of us, one foot maybe turns in slightly or out, or we're a little bow-legged or, whatever. So either from injury or genetics, the right foot was cocked off just a little. Now, some other interesting things around here, and I need to get out of the shadow. But this down here about, I would say 50 feet away from this trackway of dinosaurs, and about 4 inches above it, it appears to be about 5 steps of a human trackway, which would be totally out of, sequence for what evolution
The evolutionist
would be
worldview. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be totally out. And it's a left-right formation. You can see where toes are in 1 or 2 of them, but then the other one of them actually looks, and this is my interpretation, but it almost looks like they stepped, and then they stepped on a rock in their arch, and it either hurt or something, and it kind of slipped, and there's a quick step to catch, just like we would do if we had something like that. And these are not the only human tracks that are there, human-like tracks, maybe I should say. There was a rancher there that's passed away now, and I guess, of course, he had permission to go anywhere on a horse, on his neighbors and stuff, and he saw many dinosaur trackways and human tracks in this area. Okay, we'll go over here. Now, again, we're looking for evidence that would show that what the Bible talks about is true. Now, if the Bible's true, now there should be the dinosaurs and cattle and lions and tigers and all that should have been made on day 6. So is there any evidence of that happening? And these are replicas of rocks from Ica, Peru. Some may pronounce it Ica, I'm not sure. But anyway, let's look at this one. Now, this is a dinosaur. It's got a long tail, kind of a long neck. And then what I want you to take note of is the top part of this dinosaur is a fine pattern. But on the bottom of this dinosaur is a circle pattern that they've carved in here. By the way, many of these stones are found in graves that are carbon-14 dated between 500 BC and 1500 AD. But then you follow his head around here, and you look on the other side here, here's a human. And that dinosaur has a hold of his arm, and blood's coming out. So if dinosaurs have been extinct for 67 million years, why would these people carve interaction with people and dinosaurs, and them even attacking them. And every one of these stones, here's one where there's a spear and a man is going after him with a spear. This one has a human on there. I have one slide of one of these rocks of a triceratops, and a man is riding it. Of course, in my opinion, we have bull riders today, and I'm not sure. I definitely don't have the nerve to do that, so maybe somebody had the nerve to crawl on one. Now, I didn't finish here. Here was the fine pattern, and this is of a hadrosaur, which is a duckbill, a common name. And then here's a little bit of fossilized skin. This is a replica, and notice it's in a circle pattern. Okay? So to me, that's just further evidence that these people did live with these animals and probably had encounters with them. And in other words, they accurately carved those in there.
So you believe that the Bible, or there's evidentiary support that dinosaurs existed, of course, before the flood and after the flood?
Correct. See, the book of Job is written after the flood, at least every Bible scholar that I'm aware of, and it talks about Behemoth, and it was talking about the chief of the ways of God, was probably the biggest one. Okay? And said it lives in the swamps, and he went on and on describing, and it sounds like a sauropod, what they would say about it. Then you've got Leviathan and all these different, probably water dinosaurs that they would have had after the flood. And see, the water dinosaurs would not have to go on the ark. Many of them were killed during the flood, but then some would have survived. And there's actually reports of those in the shipping days when there was no diesel engines or steam engines, making a lot of racket. There was a lot more sightings of these sea monsters, they called them, which I think was probably just the sea dinosaurs. Now here's this is a dinosaur coprolite or coprolite. And there's a little bit of red, which I'm pretty sure is iron that would have been in there that he would have eaten and excreted. And this is called a gastrolith. And notice it's kind of oily and shiny. And I'm not sure if the owner of this ranch, I got it from his daughter and, and a bunch of other stones. And I've asked, several people, and they said, yes, that's a gastrolith. Well, even as, like chickens eat sand and some birds eat gravel in order to help them digest their food, the dinosaurs did the same thing. Now, I'm not saying they had a gizzard. I don't know one way or the other that way. But they did swallow these, and you can identify them from that oily, shiny part there. Now, this is a replica in Glendive, Montana, the very western edge of Montana. There's an excellent creation museum there, and we bought this replica of a brow tine, which would be one of these, of a triceratops. Now, one of the reasons we picked this up is because on the same ranch that this original brow tine was found, they found a 54-inch brow tine of a triceratops. And the thing is, it was only buried about this deep. And so that it would have had rain and moisture going down in, freezing and thawing. And when they got clear up in there, they found actual tissue of that dinosaur, brow tine. And that probably is one of the, these days, one of the most convincing evidences that we have that dinosaurs are really recent and not, scores of millions of years old, is because they're finding tissue in different places a lot of the time.
That's a big.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. Actually, the last thing I read said that this one guy researched and he found 87 examples throughout the geologic column where, there was original tissue. Over in China, a little egg that had a dinosaur in it, and the thigh bone of that had tissue in it, and it's supposed to be 190 million years old. So, I mean, there's evidence coming out that the layers are not as old, and those animals that are trapped in there are not as old as what they've been saying they have been. And then down here at the bottom, we picked this up when I took our grandkids there. They dug out, see this impression of a round bone, and they dug that out and they threw this rock aside. And I looked at it, and there's a bone on the inside going through there. I said, "Can I have that?" "Sure, you can have it." And they were pretty sure it was a triceratops because they found the head, just real close in front of where we were digging. So. Now the main thing we have here on the table, we have mammals and dinosaurs together. We let the kids encourage them to play with it and everything, and hopefully getting in their head that, hey, they lived at the same time. And they might have had different habitats that they, were in, but they did live at the same time. And by the way, they have found, and this is totally the opposite of the science textbooks, at least in the 6th grade, it says the only mammal that was alive at the time of the dinosaurs was probably a mouse-like creature that lived in the trees. Well, they found 340 some species of mammals that they found in the dinosaur layers. Totally different than what it is. They found ducks, they found loons, they found flamingos, they found all kinds of sharks and everything, and they're never put with the dinosaur layers or displays.
Why do you think that history and scientists have painted or distorted history in this way? It's different than the biblical worldview, the biblical scientific view. Why? What's their motivation to do that?
Well, in my opinion, they always say it's science versus religion, but evolution is a belief system based on natural causes for everything. And so actually, I could have said this earlier, but foundation has 3 posts that it stands on. One is chemical evolution, or life starting from non-life. There's no factual evidence for that. It's based on belief. And then one other leg is microevolution, which is variation within the same kind of animal. That is factual, and we can selectively breed and get, animals that look quite a bit different, but it's all made from the genetic code. And so, that's one thing. Then the other one is macroevolution, and that's one life form changing into a different kind of life form. And again, I would challenge, there's no factual evidence for that. I know Linsky, in 2005, when the science hearings were there, he had tried to get bacteria to evolve for 35,000 generations, and it was still a bacteria. The last I heard, he retired, turned it over to somebody else, and they're up to 70,000 generations, and guess what? It's still a bacteria. So there's no factual evidence that one can change, life form can change into a different kind of life form. And you have to first believe that evolution took place before you can start placing, the evolution of life in those. And if we go back to one life form changing into another, the 35,000 generations, I was told that evolution believes from Lucy, which I think it's kicked out of the line of humans now, but at one time it was there. And from Lucy up to modern humans would be about 35,000 generations. So see, they just believe that, but there's no actual evidence that they can show that takes place. So they're both based, both Christianity and evolution is based on belief as a major part of it. So it's really religion versus religion. It's non-theistic religion versus theistic religion. And to me, it's a shame that only non-theistic religion doctrines are taught in public schools.